Accountability. I do what I say I will do in a timely manner. If and when I do not, I take appropriate action to make things right. So accountability is one of our main core values. It's one of our 8 core values with Cascadia Quest, with Tending Male Fire. So I want to talk a little bit about accountability, what it is, and how it works how it actually works on a daily basis. So accountability is about our commitments. It's about the agreements and contracts that we make. And that's really an important place to start, because oftentimes people can feel like they're out of account when actually they don't even have an agreement or a commitment that they said they would hold up to. So the first thing is getting clear agreements is actually really important. If I say, I'm going to do such and such a thing at this time of day, that's clear. So it's a clear agreement, and the more clear you are, the better. So that's important to start with, is that accountability is about agreements and the commitments that you make. If you say you're going to do something at a certain time or in a certain way or whatever it is, then you have something to be accountable to. So the first thing I want to say is I really encourage you to make clear agreements. Very often we may want to please another person, so we make an unclear, kind of wishy-washy agreement, or we kind of hint that, well, maybe I'll do it, or I'd like to do this. That's really different than saying, I will do such and such by such and such time, on such and such a date. So making clear agreements helps everybody. When we don't make clear agreements, it's easy for us to have false expectations of ourselves, and also for others to have expectations of us. So very often a man can say, I'm going to take the dog for a walk at 5 o'clock, and his wife expects he's going to take the dog for a walk at 5 o'clock. Then there's a clear agreement. But if he says, well, I'll probably take the dog for a walk at some point today, that's not a clear agreement. And maybe his partner comes home and it's not done, and she's wondering why, because she thinks it's supposed to be done. Well, he doesn't have a clear agreement. So first thing, clear agreements. The second thing is that accountability is really key to building trust in relationships, in groups, within community. So making clear agreements and then following through is just so important. The follow through piece, all of us make mistakes. That's a normal part of life. However, if we make mistakes again and again and again, eventually it kind of not becomes a mistake. It becomes a pattern. It becomes something repeated. So making a mistake, one of the important things is, if we don't follow through on our agreement, is then to find out how we can do something to make it right. Okay? So I didn't take the dog out at a certain time, then I have to circle back to my partner or to myself, depending on who you live with, and the dog, and ask your partner or ask yourself, like, well, what do I need to do so that I do this on a regular basis? And also, what do I need to do to make things right? Maybe you didn't take the dog out for a walk and it peed on the floor. You need to do something to make it right. Okay? Another important part of accountability is being able to say no. It's okay to say no. It can be actually a good thing to practice saying no. You might even have to look in the mirror and practice saying no. No can be said very kindly, and it's better to say no and say yes later on than to say yes and then regret it later on because you didn't do your thing. Okay? So I really encourage practicing, when it comes to accountability, practice saying no and be clear about, or take the time to think, can I actually do this thing? If you know you can do it, make a clear agreement. Write it down in your date book, or put it in your Google Calendar, or however you keep track of things. Make sure you do what you say you're going to do. It really goes a long way to building trust in relationships, in groups, etc. And I'll say a specific piece related to men. When I talk with women, one of the things I hear most, and one of the biggest complaints about men, is they don't do what they say they're going to do. This part is really, really key to having good relationships. Remember what's really important in your life. If you want to have good, so I often hear people, and I've done this myself, say, well, I want to have a good relationship, but we don't follow through on what we say we're going to do. So I think for men in particular, and particularly coming out of out of the world of patriarchy, where we place ourselves, you know, the patriarch, the man is the masculine, is the most important in the patriarchal system. If we want to place ourselves in an egalitarian system, it becomes even more important for us to prioritize the other, to prioritize women, children, others in our lives, and not just think, because I'm a man, I don't have to do this, or I can do it in my own timing. Much more important to like make good relationships and like be on parity, do what you say you're going to do in a timely manner, and if when you don't, do what it takes to make things right. So there's a little bit about accountability, and hopefully that will be helpful and help all of us to raise up the level of what we're doing as men in the world. Thanks.